Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Play Sword of the Stars 2. If you are new to my channel, which you no doubt will be, welcome. You'll notice that I have done another Let's Play of Sword of the Stars 1, the prequel to this game. That Let's Play is not complete, but it is very informative. If you've never played the first game and you want to get into it, you'll probably find that it's a nice place to start. I do explain a lot of things about how the game works, and I hope to do the same thing with this Let's Play, except I do hope to complete the game. Sword of the Stars 2 has had a troubled history, I guess we could say. It was released in the fall of 2011, and when it was released, it was a complete disaster. I mean, it was riddled with bugs, barely playable. Anyways, it was in a really bad state. Now, for the last 6-7 months, the developers have really been active in patching it and adding the features that were supposed to be in it, and finally now it's close to the state where I feel it probably should have been released in. There are still a few bugs to be ironed out, but there are regular patches, and most importantly, it's actually playable and functional. However, because of this kind of checkered history, I think one of the main things that's lacking is documentation. It's really hard to understand how a lot of different parts of the game work, and so that's kind of my goal here with the Let's Play, is to play through a game, but at the same time introduce new players to the series, and even people who've played maybe SOTS Prime, which is another name for the original Sword of the Stars, who want to give this game a try. I noticed that it was on sale on Steam recently, so I figured, there might be some people that are just now discovering this game, and it could be very confusing at first. That's one of the things that I like about this game, is it is very complex. There are a lot of very in-depth features, especially the combat, which is their Mars 2 engine. The sort of physics simulated combat is, I think, the high point of this game. You can kind of see a simulation of it running in the background. So we'll get into that and a lot more as we go along. So let's get things going here. I've decided, well, let's go through some of the basics. As you choose a map, one of the things to remember is that the game is not completely optimized yet in terms of performance, and if you choose one of the larger maps, you may find that the turn times are very long, especially if you have a slower end machine. Now, my computer is not exceptionally powerful, and because I'm doing the screen capture and stuff, it's going to be slowed down even more. This is unfortunate, because one of my favorite maps that I would have loved to do this on is this map here called the SOTS verse, which is kind of the actual galaxy or universe that the sort of canon takes place. So Sol system is right in the middle here, and then basically there's sort of lore that goes around the games, and this is sort of real space, and so if you place the AI or whoever, you can play any race you want, and if you place the other races in the right spot, you kind of get a recreation of the story. However, it is a ginormous map. You can see there's a huge number of stars, and remember, in Sword of the Stars 2, each star can have several planets, so this is just a huge map and requires a lot of resources to run, and I don't want to try that on my first Let's Play. So one nice map that there are 6 different races, so I like to do a map that has at least 6 players, so you could have one of each race. One of the good ones is Jack's. A very kind of standard map. It's just sort of a cross, a 3-dimensional cross. So you've got 6 players, everything's very symmetrical. You start on these sort of outer bubbles, and there's sort of a core in the middle. I like this map when I'm trying to test something out really quickly. It's the map that I use. I think that the narrow, like you kind of start off very isolated, and to get through to the middle here, it really differentiates quickly between the different races because of their different sort of styles. And I mean, I'll explain that, I guess, a bit more as we go along. So it feels a little bit, your playstyle can, especially for the eye, can be very different depending what race you want. So instead, I've decided I'm going to try to play this on a map called Frontiers. There are several 8-player maps. What sets Frontiers apart is that even though it's fairly large, I mean, this is like a medium to large size map, what's unique about it is that your starting positions are all very close to each other. So that means you're likely to see run into players and possibly even have a war early on. And for the sake of the Let's Play, I want to make this interesting, and so I want to show that off for you guys. I'm going to leave all of these settings to in their default state. You could, some of these are only relevant for multiplayer, really. You can make the game sort of easier or harder by changing some of these sliders. What's interesting are these victory conditions, which is new. Essentially, last side standing is kill everyone else. That's what we're going to use. Capital is just a slight variation. Your capital has to, you just have to snipe the opponent's capitals. These star chambers, gem worlds, leviathans are all things you can build or essentially in the game, and so it's a kind of like industrial type victory. Provinces and land grab is more of a sort of expansion and territory based victory. We're going to stick with last side standing, and we'll take it from there. Now, the races. There are 6 races, and I have decided that we are going to play as hivers. Now, hivers might not be the best choice if you're just starting off, but I personally just like them a lot, so that's what I'm going to play as. And really, the stuff I'm going to explain is going to be applicable no matter what race you choose. So I'm going to go ahead and set up the races here, so just give me a moment. This is just a sort of a cosmetic thing. Let's see, let's go for the top color here is what your sort of user interface and what it's going to look like on the star map. And it has a small impact on the color of your ship, and this ship color is used to differentiate, mainly be in multiplayer if you had many players of the same race and they had to you had to tell one ship apart from the other. So how about some orangey red type of color? It's more like some highlights, because the ship is pretty. Actually, you know what? The metal here has a kind of purpley tinge to it. So maybe let's go for some purple. Yeah. How about that? We're gonna be stuck with these guys for a long time, so might as well make it look good. There, blue, purple, kind of dark work like that. All right. Okay, enough cosmetics. So I'm going to randomly put one of every other race in here. And I'll explain the different races, I think, more in detail later on. And we have Lear. Good, we've got everybody. I'm the only hiver, that's all right. Here, by the way, is where you could give yourself a big bonus or big disadvantage. So you can individually, for each race, set their initial systems, technologies, and treasury. So obviously the higher these are, the easier it's going to be. You can even select the AI difficulty here. I'm going to start everybody off on the same footing. I'm going to click start here because it might take a while for the game to load. But yeah, you can definitely change those settings. So while this game is loading, I'll talk about the hivers briefly. The hivers have a unique warp drive technology, which is to say they don't have a warp drive. When they want to move from one system to another, they gotta just turn on the engines, and it takes like 20 years to get there. But once they get there, they can set up a gate, and they can then use those gates to instantly warp between the systems they have. So it's kind of like a slow expansion, but once you've expanded, you have the fastest transportation network, because you can literally go from one side of the galaxy to the other instantly. Many of the other races, like Lear, Tarka, and Morgi, have pretty much like point and click travel, right? I'm in place A, I want to go to place B, and you just go there. The humans and the Zool, I'm just going to close the screen here. They have a slightly different system where they have sort of predefined node lines that connect different systems, and they have to follow those. Actually, the Zool can make their own, so they have kind of the best of both worlds in that respect. So so that's kind of the major flavor of the different races. Other than that, the hivers have very tough defensively ships. You know, their ships are just very well armored. They favor ballistic type weapons. Of course, this doesn't mean much to you right now if you don't know about the different kinds of technologies, but I'm just telling you. So they have very good ships, I find. Their technology is crap in the sense that they are slow researchers, and besides from a few areas where they are good at, they're how should I say this? They're limited in what they can research. So let's actually go right into research right now, because why not? Because it's one of the first things you have to do on the first turn. Take a brief look at the tech tree. So the tech tree is the same for all the races. You've got all these different categories here. So you've got a couple weapon trees: energy weapons, torpedoes, warheads, and ballistic weapons. You've got energy technology, which is sort of a core component of ship designs, and it's what there's a major technology here called antimatter technology, which will kind of upgrade you to the next tier of technology. I'm skipping around here, but because I've kind of going in a logical progression. Engineering is what governs ship size. So as you progress over here, you can build bigger ships. Now there's biotechnology, which will govern how fast your population can grow and how fast you terraform new planets. Also, biological weapons are here. Industrial technology has some economic applications, and it's also where you develop ship armor plating and reflective coating, so defensive abilities for your ships. C3 technology stands for command, control, and something else. Anyways, this is the technology you need to field bigger fleets, and also stuff like scanners, spying, well, not spying as in the diplomatic spying, but like being able to see what's going on in neighboring systems and all that stuff. Then we have political science. Political science is sort of it is in charge of, contains all the diplomatic technologies and everything related to trade and provinces, so kind of managing your empire. Psionics is like magic, essentially. You've got a mix of things that will help your economy and things that will help, you can give ships special abilities, and you can just all sorts of random spells, for lack of a better word. Engineering we've done. Riders and rider technology are a kind of ship component where you can build smaller ships that kind of dock in with the larger ships. So kind of like think of it as a carrier. For some races, this is pretty minimal. So we might use some of this for the hivers, but for other races, especially the Lear, this is a super important kind of technology. So this is all sorts of carrier-like weapons are in this tech tree. Shield technology is, you guessed it, shields, so more defensive technology for your ships. And then finally, drive technology is different. The actual technologies here are different for each race, but whatever your kind of drive, then this will make it better. So I'm not going to justify this quite yet, but I'm just going to go right ahead and research environmental tailoring as our first technology.
This project may advance the children in a great way.
And from here, let's go right into the economy screen. We can go get here from the main screen as well. So, blam. A lot of numbers. I'm not going to talk about all of them right now. The only thing I came here to do was to slide down this slider until, see that little black wedge that's starting to form, and here corruption's starting to happen. So you have to have a minimum of security to make sure you have no corruption. But other than that, you don't really need any more. There we go. For now, I'm going to keep this balance between research, which is the purple, and spending, which is the green. Later on, we're going to use a stimulus. For now, we're not using it, so everything that's not security goes into money in the bank. And this money we're going to use to build ships, build stations, do all this stuff. You can change the tax rate, and anything you do is going to have an impact on your government. This is sort of one of the later things that have been implemented finally, so we'll get a chance to experiment with it. But essentially, this is sort of like the political spectrum. So you have sort of kind of freedom versus authoritarianism, and then you have like I guess more like economics, free market-y type things versus more socialist type things here. So you kind of have a few axes, and you don't choose the type of government. Based on your actions, you'll gravitate towards different types of governments, and this will have an impact. You get certain bonuses and penalties depending on where you are on the spectrum. So we're not going to worry about this at all for the beginning. Okay, so let's go back to the home screen, and I am going to stop the recording now before we get into the other parts of the game. So I will see you soon.